Good morning, Rich.
Good morning, Martin.
Yes. Do you have an echo when I speak or not?
I'm sorry, say that again.
When I speak, do you hear echo or is it clear?
It's clear.
Good. So, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Also, not bad. A lot of things are happening these days. Unbelievable. I have a very long list of stuff that we can talk about, all related to innovation. It's really amazing how things are developing over the past 2 weeks. It's really,
Well, okay.
yeah, seriously. And yeah, it is all also linked to Germany a bit. I mean, last week I was still shocked about what has happened in Iran. Now today, I believe this thing has the same magnitude as the Lehman crisis because the
Yeah.
Iran is shutting down. They are now really creating trouble. They shut down the Strait of Hormuz, thereby um, cutting off the Gulf states from exporting oil
Yeah.
to Saudi Arabia. And today I read a headline that says, "Be prepared for oil prices at $200 per barrel," which is 30% more than the highest that we have seen about 10 years ago or 15 years ago. And
Yeah. I was telling my brother that, um, I could foresee it 150, and he was like, no way. And now, I've heard that this morning, early morning on the financial news here in the States, 150, and another report was 200. So,
yeah,
it's going to go that way. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
and they
And
deliberately want that, right? In order to cause damage. And today I saw there was a resolution of the United Nations against Iran for but yeah, I'm for what actually, I don't know. Uh, but 135 member states of the United Nations had a resolution against Iran for what, what they're currently doing, and I'm a bit confused because I always thought that they are under attack and they are defending themselves. So, but I'm also not an expert, so what would I know? So, but we can start. Wow, so many. Hi, Christoph. Hi, Michael, Joe, Carl, and Rich, of course. Wow, yeah, we are growing. Then we have. My plan is now to do more marketing for our meetings here because, yeah. So what I can offer today is I can tell you about the Credentilix project, which is the um, innovation financing platform, which is not available for US citizen and US companies yet, I must say. But I had a very interesting talk with a large German law firm this week, and they are interested in running a similar platform in the US for everybody. Yeah, I mean, but currently the Credentilix in Singapore cannot take the US because there's too much red tape, which means freedom to operate when yeah, actually doesn't work. And then there would be another platform in
hey, Martin,
yes,
could I interrupt?
yes, go ahead.
Um, I have no idea what you're talking about, other than just you mentioned that name before to me,
Okay.
but uh, you need to go back to square one and sort of educate us again on
Yeah.
what is
Okay.
it?
I'm so happy to do that. What I can tell you is about 10 years ago I invented a new way to make innovation investable. And it is not necessarily done with blockchain, but it can be done with blockchain. And actually, it matches an innovative project to a funding that is very similar to futures. Like, there are futures for oil and for pork bellies and for whatever. And these futures are used for hedging against risk. And I have invented a way to create a future for innovation. And there's on my website, the IP Lawyer Tools website, there are videos and articles and whatsoever. And if you go to credentilix.com, Credentilix can be. I've secured all the domains like Credentilux with a Y but it's like credential, but I changed it because credential is so generic, and this is also only a name for the baby, so that until we found a final name, because I don't have a final name yet. I try to avoid this FTO issue for the time being, and I choose a name that is not carefully chosen just to address it. So the idea is that innovators bring their innovation there, they submit to the system, and the system having some sort of phase gate quality control over the progress of the innovation from technology readiness level 0 to technology readiness level 10. And this platform gives you not equity tokens, but utility tokens and actually service tokens. And the tokens can be done in blockchain, but they can also be issued on paper. And you can also bundle those tokens and then put them into a future certificate that is then traded on a regulated stock exchange. And I am in contact with the German stock exchange, Deutsche Börse, and they are very interested. But also my home state, the Bavarian stock exchange, is also interested. And what you get when you invest there is you buy into an innovative project, and that innovative project would develop. And of course, because I will force them to use the 4x4 innovation strategy, there would be a market response testing. And the market response testing being essentially by what is the sales of the tokens, or I call it token from now, although it does not mean that it's necessarily a blockchain token. It can also be a future contract. And yeah, so this grows over time. The technology readiness level improves, goes up, and you can see at the current value of the token, how the market reacts to that product or the innovation that is there. And that is something very new. So is very different from what exists on out there. And yeah, so this week I had two successes. Number one, for the first project, which is an autonomous cargo bay robot for loading and unloading luggage into small size aircrafts, like a 737, Boeing 737. And this project is one of our clients, and they got, because I forced them to enter the 4x4, the structure, the innovation by 4x4, they got 100,000 euros from Airbus for going through the idea stage. And now they are in the conceptual model stage, and they want to get big for the prototype. They need about 1.5 million. And I had everything together, but what was missing was a trustee. And I found a trustee in Germany. And the next step is then that we get the token ready, which means all the purchase contracts and the white book and the white paper and a few other things. And I found a law firm in Singapore, is an international one with one outlet in Singapore. And they provide all that from one hand, and they became innovation partners on the Credentilix platform. And we are currently now preparing all the papers so that the token is ready in April when there is the biggest cargo handling trade fair of the world in Singapore at Changi Airport. So, yeah, Rich. That started
Hey,
from
Martin,
yes,
Martin.
yes.
Yeah, so for Rich's benefit, he missed the session where you described this about 6 weeks ago.
Oh,
So Rich, you ought to pull it up. And the spelling is tricky, Rich. So pull up the website. So it's CREDENTILYX.com. And
yes.
it's a really good website, Rich. So as we're talking, you might want to catch up and pull it up because all of us who were here 6 weeks ago went through the website with Martin.
Yeah. I mean, I'm running this project also according to the 4x4 innovation strategy, which means that I believe we are now from from the we are now entering the prototype status. So the first project will be done in the prototype status, and everything is very hands-on, very manual, very whatever, right? But I have 10 candidates in the back who applied with us, and we are now developing a automated test so that we can onboard people automatically without even a human involved. And and then run this thing. And you can invest into such a promising technology because for the prototype we already have subscriptions from the Changi Airport. The SATS is the ground handling company of Changi Airport, and also the Swiss airport, the Zurich airport is also interested, and then the third one I don't even know. And what we are telling them, either you invest directly into the startup, or you, for the time being, you buy tokens. And if you have enough tokens, then you also acquire the right to, depending on the amount of tokens that you have, to enter 3 different data rooms. And the more tokens you have, the more information you get about the progress. And yeah, those so main investors which have a number of tokens that exceeds a certain amount, they get they get insight into everything. And yeah, so I'm quite excited about that suddenly this thing starts to fly. And then I had
So,
this, yes,
so Martin, let's say that somebody buys, X number of tokens,
yes,
um, so do those people end up on the company's cap table?
no,
Um,
no equity they dealt, no equity. What you get a service token that makes you jump the waiting queue, or that gives you a discount on the final product or service, or and then there are other benefits related to that. And of course, if you get into early into a project, then you will benefit from the increase of the value of the token that you're buying, because the the closer the product gets to the technology readiness level 10, the more valuable are the initial tokens, because we have 4 sessions to issue tokens. One is for the idea phase, one is for the conceptual model phase, another one for the prototype phase, and the last one is for the product phase, and can also be a seed A even. So if you buy a token at the idea stage, then it would increase in value when the project evolves to from technology readiness level 0 to technology readiness level 9, and then you benefit from that. And I, I, that I believe that's enough motivation for an investor. If you want to have equity, then I would say then you approach the company directly and ask, hey, if I want 10% of your shares, how much do I need to pay you? And then you just completely go around the the pre-sales over the tokens. That's the charming idea of it, that you have the choice. You want to invest small, and then you benefit from the increase in value, or you want to invest big, then you have the choice. You can also directly contact the company and buy equity from them. But the Credentilix platform is for bringing those two people to those people together, the investors and the company. And yeah, does this answer your question? I would be so happy to receive more questions from you, because we update our frequently asked questions page almost on a daily basis. Now we have 41 questions there.
Right. Well, so really the buyer of the tokens, the ideal buyer for the tokens is not the public, but potential users of whatever the innovation is.
Yes, of course. But we found about 16 different motives to buy the tokens. And of course, if you need the product, and I have a project here is in the waiting list, is a waste incineration plant. And the waste incineration plant needs money to build the plant, because the
Yeah,
plant is
you
not
told
yet
us
there.
about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and so you can pre-purchase waste incineration capacity by buying a token.
Right.
Yeah. So, and what I can say, so in the past week, this got a tremendous boost by number one on the operational basis, because now the first project is in the final phase before issuing the tokens. And second, I found a quite large law firm that wants to get into this area, and they want to they look into Islamic banking and into the extending to the US market.
So how do you make money on this?
Please say again.
How do you make money on this?
Oh, the income can be generated, number one, from a listing fee. Then number two, so if a founder gets listed there and gets his finances, then we can make a share of the investment generated and then convert this into a listing fee. Then another income is that there's a marketplace for innovation service providers. And of course, my own firm would sit there, right? So if there's anything around innovation that has to do with intellectual property, I would expect the people who list there that they at least look into working with us, especially because I'm using a special strategy of converting the 4x4 innovation strategy into a 4x4 patenting strategy. And then there are a few other income streams. We think about commissions, but commissions come with a special problem, which is then a conflict of interest issue. And yeah, so this is it. And of course, if you are mentioned there on the website as an innovation service provider, and you have such a platform that is there to redistribute money, that is also a value, right? So you get some benefit. But also, I must say, we are planning to put this Credentilix platform outside of my firm into a separate entity. And then we look for investors who want to be part of that platform. And yeah, so I'm also creating a business that can be sold as a. So these are the three income streams. If you talk about myself personally, but the company Credentilix is similar to Kickstarter, and I believe we should compare ourselves with them, and also try to adopt many of the practices that are there. Also, yeah, and I don't think that Kickstarter will ever be in a position to provide the same thing. Kickstarter is probably the biggest direct competitor, coming with a lot of disadvantages.
Well, there's several. I mean, the Kickstarter, there's Indiegogo and a few others.
Yes.
So that you should take a look at all those too.
Yeah, we did, but they all come with the same disadvantages.
Yeah, those are more like products kind of going to market and pre-sales, but they don't do some of the futures for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get the difference. But I'm
Yeah.
just saying, there's others besides Kickstarter. But
Yeah. I mean, the big difference is that we are not asking people to invest into some product ideas, but we are asking people, hey, you want to invest in innovation? Here you go. You have 50 different projects. They all come with a technology readiness level. You have the choice. You want to enter early or you want to enter late. And this all depends on your risk. And then what we can tell you is that we do curate those projects, which means the projects that we have on the website, they are not stupid. They make entirely sense. Then they're backed by, I mean, the first our cargo Cobra project is backed by Airbus, by the Singapore airport and the Zurich airport, and by a equipment manufacturer. And if that is not something for a startup, I don't know what, but yeah, I would say that is something. And you have and then you can measure from the sales of the tokens and what price they are traded at the later time on the token exchange. You can measure what the public thinks about the product. So if you have bad news spreading about the company, that would surely destroy the value of the token of the company. And if it good values are good news, then the token will go up in price, and that will also determine the price for the next token for the next phase in the stage phase thing. So what we have is the first technically supervised innovation product market in the world. I haven't seen anything comparable out there at all.
yeah, it's definitely unique. It's just, it's a matter, in my opinion, everything that you said is interesting, but I mean, you need to really sort of boil it down to a much shorter. And I know you're trying to be, amplify all the aspects of it for me and others here, but I mean, in your pitch, you need to have it, really sharp, right? And
Yes, of course. Again, this is 4x4 innovation strategy, right? I'm now
Yeah.
currently in the conceptual model phase, and by trying to sell it, you refine yourself all the time. And what we force the people to refine their selling towards the market and not towards the investors. And and that the same applies to us. The market would be actually threefold or fourfold. We have founders, then we have investors into the project, and then we have investors into the platform, and they need a different pitch.
So Martin, one of the things that I'd strongly recommend that you do is go to CES, Consumer Electronics Show, and in the CES platform, if you would, there's a entrepreneurial startup garage kind of thing that they do.
Okay.
And it's typically held in the basement of the main convention center building.
Okay.
And it's a floor devoted just to startups, and they have startup pitches that they do and a pitch competition and all that. But just, I mean, you'd maybe even want to enter the pitch competition, but you'd certainly benefit from being there on the floor because all your major competitors are there, right? And what you're talking about is radically different than what they're doing.
Yeah.
But the companies that are there have some, very unique and desirable solutions. So that could be a really good audience for you.
Yes, 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 yes. Although I'm more prone to not travel anymore in my life. I'm rather an internet guy. So, but you are right. The finding those people would be good. But I mean, Credentilix is a platform, right? So we have innovation partners, and I'm very sure that very soon there would be innovation partners who help people to onboard our platform. I'm very sure. And those people would,
Would you call those distributors?
yeah, maybe, or agents, or
Reps or whatever.
I would say
Perhaps.
I would call them enablers.
Would
Yeah.
they be done by broken up by regions? How would you break up
No,
who has what territory?
there's
Okay.
no, so far, no exclusivity. This is a very open platform for everybody. I have no intention whatsoever to turn this into a company that provides the package, the entire package as a service. I believe that for innovation, freedom is a must. And that freedom is also expressed in freedom to select the partners you work with. And yeah, but ultimately, the whole thing comes down to the individual projects and the contracts that they offer, because there could be projects that work only in the US and other projects that work only in, for example, in Islamic countries like Dubai. What I want to say is that certain countries or certain cultures or whatever, they have their own requirements, and what if you break it down to a project level, so that every project can have very different boundary conditions are very different from other projects, then you make it scalable. And
On,
now,
on
yeah,
that note, if you end up needing to go down the rabbit hole of a Microsoft data room, I've
okay,
been building one for 2 years in order to do essentially custom project within data room.
okay, Joe, then you would be the perfect innovation partner for the data room question, and you would charge the individual project for your services.
Yeah, absolutely. What I found recently is Microsoft would probably suggest the price is for a team of 25, a data room of 25 seats, essentially 3,000 a month is what they would recommend.
Yeah, but then very simple. So if someone has 50 tokens of a certain project, then you design a data room, and within this within the startup,
Break down how to buy the data room by tokens. Yeah.
no, you can even build them. You say, show me your 50 tokens and I give you access to the data room, and here's my price for doing so. And within the company there should be one person that feeds the data room. And there would be different data rooms. There's a data room that has maybe 10% of the information, and a data room that has 50% of the information, a data room that has 100%. And the less information, the cheaper the access.
But as a service provider, I don't want tokens. I want cash.
Of course, then you bill directly. You have a, let's say you have a company that bought tokens for 10,000 euros or 100,000 euros, because they, for some reason, they have an interest in having the tokens. And then you can then we would tell them, look, there's a service here for this company. There's a data room, and if you want to have access to the data room, you need to comply with two things. Number one, you must have enough tokens, because if you're just a minor token owner, then we will not give you access to our data room. And number two, if you want access to the data room, you need to pay the data room provider a certain amount per month so that he can give you access, because that is connected with a lot of work, and then you need to pay for that work. So the the service provider would get both the
Which what I'm, at least what I took down, there used to be a market when you tried to remake a CRM or all those things, you had an implementation cost of like one person's salary for almost a year just for them to customize the thing for define whatever company.
yes.
And so that's what I'm trying to hack down because that was too much for startups to take.
No, but the issue is the data room costs are not paid by the startup. The data room costs are paid by the token owners.
Yeah, and the less that data room costs to first bring up to operation, the better.
Yeah, sure. But I believe that those token owners that have a strategic interest, they would know that information comes with a price tag. And I mean, if I have the choice to invest into a startup by taking equity, I would also take some of my investment into the tokens and then also buy access to the data room. But because at one point in time, the depends on how you invest in the company, your equity, your agreement for purchasing equity may not give you all the access. Or maybe before you decide to purchase equity, which gives you access to the full data, you may want to purchase tokens because with less risk or with less money involved, you get the same amount of information as you get when you have equity, which is more expensive, obviously.
So, Martin, I'm thinking about Michael, our jewelry man, right?
Yes.
So in his innovation, right? And he's very far along in that. And, he's got a working system.
Yes.
How would that be implemented across your platform?
Okay, Michael is on the list of the current onboarding projects, as you can imagine, right? So the structure of the service token is not yet decided upon. This is what I can tell you.
Yeah.
That would be done once the white paper for the token is written. But what I can tell you is that you can invest in there are several models that can be thought. So our Michael, he's essentially selling seeds to a platform that stores information about valuable products. And the products are marked with one of several methods that makes it possible to detect whether or not you are looking at the genuine product. And what you can is, if you're a jeweler and you believe in that idea, then you can buy 10 of those seeds or 100 of those seeds and you get 80% discount. And once the system is ready, then you can convert those 100 tokens into 100 seeds and you have 80% discount because you sit on it for already 2 years or so. But you believe in the idea, you think is novel, and okay, you don't have it now, but in 2 years' time you have it. And then you can already plan ahead for a campaign among your clients, how you can use those. I have another startup in the pipeline. They are selling tests for finding out the likelihood of whether or not a cancer treatment is effective on you. And one test costs about something like $8,000 or $10,000. There are a few medical insurances in Germany who already finance that. And what they can do is, I mean, they could sell and finance their research by selling vouchers for doing the test for half the price or 30% discount. And the voucher then can according to what you do, can not only used for yourself, but let's say for someone else to whom you can sell it or give it or whatever. And if you have that voucher, you just skip the queue. Not only do you get a better price, but they would guarantee to you that if you have the token and you convert it into a test, then you get your test within 5 working days. While if you queue up, you may need 3 months or so to wait. And just to give you the insight into the power of the test, what I found out is currently there are about 160 chemotherapies in this world for cancer. 160. And the problem is when you are a medical practitioner, you do not really know whether the chemotherapy would fit for the type of cancer of your patient. So what you do is you start to test. And only after 6 weeks or so would you know whether the chemotherapy would work. And if it doesn't work, then you switch to another chemotherapy, and so on and so on and so on. The problem is only that after 3 years, most patient depends on the cancer also, right? But after 3 years or so, most people are so exhausted from the chemotherapies that didn't work that they would die anyway. So if you can reduce the number of tests that very likely would work for your type of cancer from 160 to maybe 16, then the chance of survival is much higher, because then the average time to reach the chemotherapy that works for your specific cancer is much shorter than before. It's not whatever. You can simply calculate 160 different therapies, 6 weeks each or 2 months. So you have about 250 to 300 months for finding out if that therapy works for you or not. And most people don't have so many months left, right? So yeah, that's the way to make, and I can give you a few more examples.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And now the question is, how to spread the news. But this was only number 1 of my list of let me count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we are already 35 minutes into our
So Martin, did you think about going to your the folks that we talked to in Germany on the equipment maker that were diversifying?
Yeah, of course. This is my next thing. So the SME Innovation Offensive 2026 has started, and and it will be in the following format. We are recruiting 20 companies who get 2 Plan Bs. And these companies are German companies, because that I have the easiest access to the Germans. That's the reason. And we are recruiting 20 of those companies to attend, I call it 7 + 5 + 3 program, plus 30 days innovation offensive. And the Plan B for those companies, I mean, if you look into today's news, only Volkswagen alone will shut down 50,000 jobs over the coming 3 years alone.
Yeah.
Volkswagen.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. I mean, you remember what I predicted 1 year ago? So, and because I also was with my firm, we were suppliers to the car industry in Germany. So, but for patents, and the same applies to all other companies in all car companies in Germany, and not only the car companies, but also the automation and mechanical engineering companies, and also chemistry. So my guess is that alone in 2026, there would be 1 million of workplaces removed from Germany. They are not gone, but they're just somewhere else. And what is left are the small and medium-sized companies, SMEs, and they need some plan B, because if they drag on, it would work for another year or 2 or maybe 3 or so, but then all the resources are gone. And for those who can afford the program and who want to also invest the time, because I'm meeting also many people that just shut down the company. We offer this 7 plus 5 plus 3. And the 7 would be, wait, maybe I should start with the innovation offensive. So what we want is, we want to teach them how to use a phase gate process, which is the 4x4 innovation strategy, to improve their innovation in Germany. And in a way that it's not incremental, so they do more, and beyond what they're currently doing, they do more. And we would help them. And when I say we, I mean the people here in this group. And not only in this group, but also we go further. And there's this cooperation with the Technical University of Munich, right? With these 2 lectures, one a strategic route and the other one a tactical route. And but apart from that, there would also be okay, you can do the following. Why don't you do innovation in Germany, but you also try to find a second market that you could serve outside of Europe? Because I believe it's good to have a market which is not in the same currency. And I mean, I can help them in Asia. And so we have an event in October by the Chamber of Commerce, German Chamber of Commerce in Singapore, and they would have the event Riding the Wave. And that event would introduce them to how to do business in Singapore and also Malaysia. And then there's the +5 component, and I must now check. Is Christoph here? The 7 component would be Singapore and Malaysia, and the +5 component would be handled by Christoph Hering, who is also here. Christoph, can you unmute your microphone, and then maybe we synchronize a bit here, because yeah. Your microphone is unmuted, but we cannot hear you. Now I heard a hum. No, anyway, Christoph, I speak for you then while you repair your microphone. So Christoph is in the south of China. He's about 4 flying hours away from Singapore. So I would count Guangzhou, the city where he is, as being in the Southeast Asia region. And so those 20 companies, they would do Singapore and Malaysia, and those of them who want to expand and also find out more about China and their southern China, they would do 5 days under Christoph in Guangzhou. And then for those who still want to know more about Asia, we will have 3 days Indonesia, which is a big country. It's about 250 million inhabitants. Is this about the size of the US population?
Yeah, yes, it's about 300 million.
Yeah.
350. Like
I'm talking about magnitude, not about the absolute numbers. So
yeah, I understand. Yeah.
It's not 20 million. Indonesia is not 20 million. There's about the same number of headcount as in the US. So those who want to do 3 days can do Indonesia, and right in front of Singapore. There are quite populated islands, Bintang and Batam, right in front of Singapore, and you can enter the Indonesian market from there. So and the goal is that if you invest the 7 plus 5 plus 3, then you have 15 days, and in those 15 days you can explore an entire continent, I would say, and meet like-minded people, Germans that are here in Southeast Asia and China and Indonesia, and see how they cope with the environment. So, and of course, I need to start the marketing for that program, and that would start in. I was thinking about April, but this Iran nonsense has entirely destroyed my plans because it's not traveling between Singapore and Germany is not really easy. It's a multi-layered problem. But anyway, we have another 8 months until this starts, and I believe we will get something together. Christoph, is your microphone now working or not? Cannot hear you. Cannot hear you. Yeah. Yeah, so that was the SME Innovation Offensive 2026. Then I have another, yeah, almost at the end. I'm talking another interesting project. Roland Rill is not here today because he was very interested because he holds a German PhD title. And I was approached by what we call a PhD title hunter in Germany. In Germany, you must know a PhD becomes part of your name. So it's like a third part of your name. You have a first name, and then you have a surname. And the surname in Bavarian is called family name. And if you hold a PhD title, then this would become a third part of your name. But all three together are mentioned in your passport, in your official documents, and you have a right to be called with all three parts of your name if someone addresses you. So for Germans and Austrians and Swiss, the PhD title is very important. And especially there are some people who want to cause damage to those people who hold this, cause damage to people. They look out for people who have a doctorate title, a degree, and then they would attack the PhD thesis. And that can be done in several ways, but one very popular way is to demonstrate that this is the PhD thesis is a result of plagiarism, which means they have copied from somewhere without proper reference, without giving the credits. And so I was approached by one of those PhD thesis hunters, and he asked me whether I could help him because I'm known in the area of artificial intelligence with one of the softwares that are used by patent attorneys to destroy a PhD thesis. So, and he even paid for that. So, and we did 3 PhD theses, and one is completely destroyed, one is indestructible, and the second one can be debated. And I gave him all the ammunition to attack these PhD theses. And he was very happy and comes back frequently. And then I thought, oh, why don't I try this in my own university? So I approached one of my old friends who's a professor for thermodynamics. Hey, I have this software. Don't you have a PhD, a dissertation right now that is before grant? Then I run it through it for free. And then he said, yeah, okay, do it. So I ran it through and it was very good. No objection so far. And I cannot see that this was a plagiarism in place. But then he said, hey, Martin, can you convert your software such that I can use the software for writing my PhD thesis evaluation for it? And I said, yeah, of course we can. And it turns out that they even have a budget for doing so because it would save them months of work if you do a proper analysis. And the mistakes that are found can then be directed to the PhD candidates, and they can amend their thesis, and then they get a much better thesis. And there's proof for both, for the professor because it shows that he has really read it and analyzed it, and also for the candidate because he is then very grateful to his PhD thesis. We call it PhD fathers, yeah, because he has really contributed input. And it's not like that the AI would take away 100% of the work, but the AI would take away 80% of the work. So the same professor can analyze 5 times more PhD theses in the same time. Plus, the PhD theses are much better than before. And if you go to my firm's website, that is now has become a product. And that also shows me something that we law firms, we must reshape our business model from a law firm to an enterprise. And part of that is that you think in systems, in new products, as using whatever knowledge that you already have and expand it to new areas that are unknown. Right? Who has ever thought that using a patent attorney for analyzing PhD theses? Over.
Cool. Cool.
What? What? Oh.
I said, cool.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Say Martin, Michael here.
Yes.
For Rich's benefit and others
Yeah.
who may have missed the session.
Michael,
6
do you
weeks
have
ago.
a PhD that I can possibly improve or destroy?
No, I don't, Martin, but a quick word for you. So can you talk to Rich and others about the reasons for possible objections in the US?
What possible objections in the US?
Well, 6 weeks ago, we talked about whether or not it
Yeah,
would be
and
viewed
then
as a Ponzi
I'm
scheme and
yeah, I'm so grateful that you brought this up, Michael. Seriously, because this is part of my FTO, right? The 4x4 innovation
exactly.
strategy has the 4 areas. Number 1, you need to innovate and you need to do some R&D in order to develop a product. That every technician would understand that. Then the second one would be freedom to operate. Are you allowed to practice your invention? And that is the most neglected and most deadly part in every startup that I'm aware of. I have never seen a startup. I have seen more than 120 bankrupt startups. 120. I've seen
So
from
what are the barriers? What are the barriers in the USA that your law firm gave you caution on?
The problem is that if you have a US citizen, then the reporting that you have to do to the US and to give to your client so that he can file all the reportings with the IRS and is mainly the internal revenue, the tax department of the US government. And the documentation for that, and plus the insight that you have give to those government officials is so extensive that it's not even worth the effort. So even if the investor or the founder would pay you for all this, it would be so expensive that it doesn't make any more sense. That's also why the same for banks. If you, as a US citizen, try to apply for a bank account outside of the US, they would all kick you out and not work with you at all. And so the same applies to Credentilix. Yeah. And I know a friend of mine he was the owner of a Swiss bank. And he had to shut down his bank. Plus, he cannot travel to the US anymore because of those requirements. The bank is called Wegelin Bank. Wegelin. If you search on the internet, then you would know. And my friend's name is Hummler. 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 Yeah. I know because I had a bank account with his bank. And he transferred my bank account to a friend's bank, which is Notenstein. But then I closed it down because you don't need that. You don't need that when you're not working in Switzerland and in Singapore. I'm quite okay here as a citizen. So, yeah. So the same reason why US citizens and companies cannot easily work with banks outside of the US is the reason why Credentilix currently will not serve US founders and US investors. Yeah.
Volunteer as tribute for US.
Say again?
I volunteer as tribute for US. It'll be
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. You want to run the platform there? Okay. Okay, but
I mean, I already have an overlapping product when it comes to risk as a data room.
yeah. I believe as an innovation partner, you can provide your services to people that use the Credentilix platform, but that would be on a direct level. So it's not about no money involved because you would bill the investors directly, probably, and the companies who invest. So they take a service. I don't think that is so contentious that you cannot be a service partner. So yeah, I will tell my team to contact you, and then you provide a data room service there. And just think about two very important things. Never advance monies for any of your customers that come from my platform. Then the second one, always make sure that you get paid. It comes together with rule one. That's the most important thing. So you need to develop a model on how you can provide your data room services to them. And yeah, in very short words. I believe this
It's
year,
kind of fun because as I'm launching this data room product itself,
yes,
I'm having to go through all the entrepreneur exercises of persona matching, product packaging,
Mm,
all the precursors before the even product kind of got made. And you know
yes,
what? I, being the founder of my own product and using my own product, built it because I needed it and I didn't find better. So doesn't matter if someone else was going to be my customer or not, I was still going to build it kind of thing, which is,
yeah,
I think, one of the reasons why founders get past that, what I put it, that tenacious, they're going to work on something that a company would otherwise not put resources to
yes,
because they're too busy serving their existing customers that this other innovation is not their priority.
yeah, exactly. But you would be surprised. Every founder has a certain, I would say, element that can be sold on the Credentilix platform as a innovation partner. Just to give you an example, the founder of our first product, the Cargo Cobra, is an expert in creating blockchain tokens. And he would know everything from creating the token to bringing it to a trade exchange. And so I told him, why don't you offer your service of creating tokens to others? And he said, oh, I never thought about that. Yes, interesting.
Oh, put me in first in line on that because I happen to have a domain that's just wrong not to.
Hmm. Sure. I mean, can you please chase me outside of the 4x4 meeting here? And then,
I chase you on LinkedIn a couple times, so
yeah,
there's
but
a history there.
that
I'll
doesn't
chase you again.
that doesn't work. LinkedIn is run by my team. Let me see who is here from the team. Khadija, or is it Crystal? Or please unmute your microphone. Or is it Safwan? One of the three. Oh, they're not listening because they just log in for starting the recording. And okay, what you can do is you write to my personal email address, which is ms@trademarks-patents.com. ms@trademarks-patents.sg. And then you say, hello, Khadija and Crystal. And Martin, please onboard me as a data room provider on Credentilix. and then because they read the emails in that address, and then you would get an answer. LinkedIn Messenger is not bad, but you need to really somehow make yourself visible among the noise. I receive a lot of traffic over LinkedIn. It's no longer a viable way to communicate.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I like that for you. It's no longer viable because it's got too much traffic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a human being.
That sounds
right?
like a great way to fail, right? Yeah, the LinkedIn failed. It has too much traffic.
Mm. In all the noise, how to, I mean, I can give you my phone number. You send me a WhatsApp. My phone number is +65 9833 4062, and you send me a WhatsApp. That's the most reliable way to contact me. I repeat my number, +65 9833 4062. It's my personal phone.
I'll hit the email. I don't do WhatsApp at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to communicate with Martin, you're going to use WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Oh, then I guess I will get on WhatsApp.
Yeah. It's one of the 30 messengers on my phone, the one that I use most often.
Given the reputation and recommendation from Rich, it'll be done.
Yeah. And this is really sometimes I use a messenger only for one person, because this person convincingly tells me that is a great messenger, and you can send pictures and files, and you can even phone have a phone talk for free. Yeah, and that's how I ended up with 30 messengers. But if a person is important enough, then I would install a new messenger. Yeah. And then, but the problem is then these people when they are there's only one person on that messenger, like Threema. Threema is very safe, but there's only one person there, and this person is always complaining that our communication is very asynchronous, and which means that sometimes I don't open that messenger for 3 months or so. Yeah, in very short.
I've also found that WhatsApp is very regionalized, right? Give you an example. All my classmates from my MBA, we communicate on Signal, right? Because Signal's more popular in the UK than WhatsApp.
Yeah, makes sense. And you know what is the most important communication app in Korea?
No.
It's called Kakao. I have one contact in Korea, and I communicate every 2 years or so, and I need to reinstall the Kakao app every 2 years because I never use it. That's good for another, but it has nothing to do with it. Hey, people, we have reached the end of our hour. Thank you so much. See you next week again. I'm really happy to have you in this, and I promise you this will grow tremendously this year. 2026 will be a breakthrough. So please come back. Goodbye.
Yeah, take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So long.
Bye.
Goodbye.